something. All right, ready to go?
Yep, sure.
Okay, so I'm here with Jani Helminen. He is at the University of New Brunswick, and he's the 2018 winner of the Miramichi Salmon Association Jack T.H. Fenety Conservation Scholarship. The Salmon Association offers a major scholarship for salmon research in honor of its longtime former president, Jack Fenety of Fredericton. The Jack T.H. Fenety Conservation Scholarship is made available each year to a selected graduate student attending a university who's conducting meaningful research about wild Atlantic salmon and or its habitat which will have relevance for the Miramichi watershed. The scholarship is something we at MSA are very proud of. It was established to honor Mr. Fenety's legendary contribution to the protection and enhancement of Atlantic salmon stocks. His stewardship of the river has paralleled the survival of that watershed as one of the most productive sources of salmon stocks in the world. So, welcome, Jani Helminen, and congratulations.
Thank you very much for choosing me.
Can tell me, what is your role here at UNB?
So I'm here, I'm a PhD student in the CAST program. The work I'm doing with is mostly for pretty much totally with sonar. So you know and a lot of other people have heard about the sonars that we have in the different branches of the Miramichi, and I'm using those, and I'm working on trying to find better ways to process that data and get the numbers of adult salmon that are coming up the river every year.
So that's part of the Rivers Institute?
Yeah, part of Canadian Rivers Institute and also UNB.
Okay. And who's supervising your work?
Tommy Linnansari is my supervisor.
Okay. So just before we go into exactly what your research entails, tell me, where did you grow up? Where did you learn to fish Atlantic salmon?
Yeah, I did learn to fish Atlantic salmon on the other side of Atlantic. So I'm from Finland, and I've been fishing for Atlantic salmon mostly in Finland and Norway, actually.
And when did you come to Canada?
About 2 years ago, when we started this project.
Okay.
Then was I was here for one summer before that, but for this PhD project it was 2 years ago.
Okay. And why did you come to UNB and to Canada?
I don't know. I think well, my supervisor Tommy was a big part of this for sure. There was a little connection because he's also Finnish.
Okay.
But then after the summer I mentioned, I was here for a couple of months, and I really enjoyed the people and the nature, so I thought, why not come here and study Atlantic salmon, which already is a species that I knew quite a lot.
That's a trick I'm very familiar with at UNB. Bring people here in the summer,
yeah,
right, and get them to like it, but don't tell them about the winter. But I guess you're used to winter.
Yeah. The winter actually it's really nice here for my opinion, because the sun is shining more.
So why is this research important? Why do we need to know more accurately how many salmon are actually coming up the Miramichi River?
So the big reason for monitoring overall, even what's being done already, that's really important. So whatever we do in the river, we can then see what happens after. So we need the baseline from every previous years. Whatever happens, or if we do something in terms of trying to improve the fish stock, or something else happened, then we'll know what we had in the previous years, and then also what we're going to have. We can also start to predict what we should have.
So it gives you a good view of, are the stocks increasing, decreasing, exactly. And then maybe you can start to figure out why.
Yeah, exactly. Then that hopefully will help.
Right.
And also even if we're talking about other rivers, and not just Miramichi, but it's always some key to know that something is happening, or if nothing is happening, then we're all good. And especially if we have healthy fish stocks, then we can do more fishing and maybe enjoy fishing in the river.
So you're saying that your research could have application on other rivers,
Yeah,
and not just salmon rivers. So.
Yeah, absolutely. That's maybe, well, it's a big part for sure of the research I'm doing, trying to have something that can be applied elsewhere. So yeah, as you mentioned, also other than salmon rivers, but especially salmon rivers here and maybe back home, Europe or something.
So you're going to use some very specialized sonar equipment to count the fish. How has this been done in the past? How have they counted the salmon?
How have salmon been counted before the sonars?
Right.
So Miramichi, it's still it's mostly used as the marker capture method. So you probably have seen the big trap nets on the side of the river. So basically the fish goes there, they're marked, and then based on how many fish are caught and also how many fish are caught again, based on the tags, then we can make an estimate how many fish there are. And also different branches, there can be like a fence, counting fence, and so on. So it's a lot of work, and hopefully using sonar and definitely using sonar will make it a little bit easier at least. And also,
So what are some of the weaknesses? You said you used the word estimate.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily get an accurate count with that old method.
Yeah, not yeah. That is something. Of course, if you could catch all the fish, then you would know how many fish you absolutely have. But that's very difficult. And then also you have to handle the fish, which is a big problem. Or well, not a big problem necessarily, but it just can be more harm for the fish, and also it's more work.
Right.
So that's something. Of course, with the sonars, there's still issues so it will still be some kind of estimate, but the idea is that the estimate will be much more accurate than the old method, and also they can be used at the same time as well. So especially at the beginning of using the sonar, this is a great opportunity that we have both methods going on at the same time.
I know that one of the problems with the older method is if you get a big rainstorm or bad weather, then it's hard. You might lose your nets, or you're counting for a week or two.
Yeah, that's definitely something, especially when we talk about May and also in November. Oftentimes it's almost impossible to use any kind of method to try to catch the fish. It's not easy with the sonar either, but it's at least doable. So instead of using the word impossible, we're saying hard.
So the sonar equipment can stay in the water.
Yeah.
And is it underwater?
It's underwater. So and it can stay there for pretty big floods too. But of course, we don't want to take too many risks. So sometimes we take it out if it starts to look bad.
So you don't leave it there when the ice is in the river?
For example, we have to be careful with ice. Right. So that's the.
And you mentioned where you're installing this equipment. You've got a couple of these units set up?
Yeah, so we have, last year we had 2 units in Blackville, so they cover the river from both sides, so both of them shoot to the middle of the river. And then we had a study site in the Little Southwest in Upper Oxbow.
Okay, so 2 more units there, or 1?
Just 1, because it's a bit more narrow, so just 1 is enough to cover the whole river.
So how much does a unit cost?
They're expensive units. I wouldn't know the exact amount of money that it costs, but it is fairly expensive.
So it's more than $100?
I think so, yeah. That's what we're talking about.
It's tens of thousands of dollars.
So and it's very specific because it's not a lot of units that they can sell. So they only produce.
So this camera is there. Is it recording what's happening? Is it on video? Is it like, how does it capture the data?
Yeah. So as you call it, like a camera. So it works almost like a camera, like a security camera. So it's recording 24/7. For example, it's got the range. So for example, Blackville, it shoots from the side to the middle, and then on the other side to the middle, and we see everything that's happening between the sonar and in the range, and that 24/7 video material will download and then process that. So we actually had, last summer we had an office set up at the MSA where we were counting the fish from the videos.
So a human was going through the
Yeah.
videos
Yeah.
and counting fish.
Yeah.
And can that human, there are many different species going by,
Yeah.
or several.
Yeah.
Salmon, sea trout, bass.
Yeah.
How does the human tell which is which?
So that is one part of the project I'm working with, is trying to figure out some ways that we can tell different species. So at this point we're using just the length, which already tells us quite a lot, but of course not everything. But then we'll add something like the timing and maybe something in terms of how they swim too. But that's something that I'm working on with the computers. And
so your part of your research project is to eliminate that middleman, so to speak, and teach the computer to count the fish.
Yeah, that's
and then the human can be there to make sure the computer's getting it right. So
yeah, basically yeah. So instead of counting all the fish from the image, we have computer doing that, identify the fish, getting length estimates, or measuring the length, and then we need less people. Instead of everybody just counting, we have maybe one person going through all the data and making sure it's accurate enough. It may not be as accurate as what human could do, especially if they're sharp all the time, but maybe as accurate as a little tired person might be doing.
But presumably you can fine-tune this, and
Exactly.
it can get more and more accurate
Exactly.
as time goes on.
And that's just work we're doing. That's why we have this work going on, and trying to figure out what might be wrong and what has to be adjusted.
So you've been working on this for 1 year, 2 years?
Almost 2 years now.
And how long do you think it will take to complete your work?
My work, well, the plan is to complete it in 2020, so a little more over 2 more years, but and hopefully we can stay in that schedule.
Okay. And what do you see as the biggest challenge at this point?
I think the species is probably the biggest challenge in terms of course, I really want to have it as accurate as possible.
Sure.
There's some evidence already, but then trying to get more and more, that can be a big challenge for sure.
So how does winning this scholarship, does that help you with your research? How does that impact you?
Oh, absolutely. As you know, we're not paid very much, and as a student, so winning a scholarship is huge in terms of having the chance to only focus on the research instead of trying to apply all the funding all the time and basically trying to survive.
So you can put all of your energy into the research and not so much into figuring where your next source of funds might come
yeah,
from.
exactly, or trying to be cheap for the next year.
Okay. Okay. Excellent. So thanks for telling us about your research. I think it's really important to the salmon and to the people of New Brunswick, all of the stakeholders in the Miramichi River system. I mean, the camp owners, the property owners, the anglers, the guides, the people who have tackle shops, who own restaurants and motels. I mean, the salmon is a very important piece of the Miramichi economy, and the work you're doing is going to be a major contribution to that. So let's just shift gears for the last little bit. So what is it you like about Canada?
About Canada, I think an easy answer would be a lot of really nice people. So I'm really happy to be here and surrounded by, as I said, really nice and awesome people. It's really relaxing. Really good life in here. I could say the nature, I really enjoy it. It is similar to what is back home, which probably is also why I like it too. So I can spend a lot of time outside, and
but there are some differences. Again, do you find similar wildlife here?
It's similar. It's not the same, but it's similar. There's usually different species, but like like a counterpart would be found in both countries. But yeah, definitely that I can spend a lot of time outside. That's something I really enjoy here.
Okay. Well, thank you again for the research you're doing, and congratulations on winning the scholarship.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And we really look forward to seeing the results of your work.
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks.
Thanks, Jani.
Thanks.
That was easy.
Yeah, that was great.
That was easy. Good.
Yeah.
15 minutes, perfect.
Okay, good.
Perfect.